Yo, what is good, YouTube? Krishan checking back in with another video. Let's start today's video off with a recent update from the mutant Nick Walker at about 3.5 weeks out from the New York Pro. And it's crazy to think about 2 years ago, the real leg spread was actually considered a weak pose for Nick Walker. But I think now I can comfortably say Nick Walker has one of the best real leg spreads in the sport of bodybuilding. But lucky for us, we will get a sneak peek of what Nick is going to look like at New York at the Pittsburgh Pro guest posing, and we'll also talk about a couple of other guys that recently got added to that guest posing as well. But excitement is high to see Nick Walker back on a bodybuilding stage following the hamstring injury that he suffered from last year. And let's switch over to Samson Dauda, who recently posted up a back double bicep update. And I want to give credit to Samson for posting this because it's not very often that we see a bodybuilder post one of their weaker shots. And Samson actually has a pretty good back as far as detail and insertions, but still needs more density and still needs a little bit more width on those lats. Maybe a lot more being next to Derek, Nick, and Hottie. But despite not having the best back double, Samson did get the edge over Nick at the 2023 Arnold Classic. We can't forget that. But going into this year's Olympia, I honestly believe Samson, Nick, Derek, and Hottie have the potential to win the show. Now, I can say I think Derek and Hottie are the front runners, but on the right day, this guy comes in a little bit off, this guy's a little bit flat. I think Samson or Nick could win the O as well. And in the next update of the day, we have a recent update from Rubiel Mosquera, and recently confirmed by his coach Chris Cormier, Rubiel should be competing in this year's Dubai Pro. Chris Cormier also mentioned that Rubiel will be moving to Kuwait and training at Oxygen Gyms. I'm not sure if it's just for the Dubai Pro or is this going to continue after that, but at least going into the Dubai Pro, he'll be training at Oxygen and Chris will be traveling there. And when it comes to Rubiel, I feel like we almost have two groups of people. A lot of the bodybuilding gurus, the experts, the former competitors says if this guy dials it in 100%, he can be very dangerous. But there's also a group of people that seem to say Rubiel is overrated. His physique is not aesthetic whatsoever. He doesn't have any lines. And I mean, that's not 100% false. But as I said, the gurus, the former competitors, they think Rubiel's ceiling is very, very high. And listen, I definitely understand that Rubiel doesn't have the most aesthetic physique, but I feel like bodybuilding at its core is guys that come in big and conditioned. The later versions of Ronnie Coleman weren't very aesthetic. Dorian Yates, not very aesthetic. Even Big Ramy, not very aesthetic. And I'm not saying that Rubiel is as good as those Mr. Olympia champions, but sometimes I feel like people act like just because a guy isn't aesthetic, he can't win the Mr. Olympia title, when throughout history, there have been many guys that didn't have a tiny waist and still walked away with the title. I'm excited to see what Rubiel is going to bring to the stage. Back at Prague, personally watching the show on the live stream, I thought he was going to beat Michal Krizo. Krizo is currently top 6 in the world. And we have to remember, Rubiel's career is just getting started, and this guy is already a freak. And I think if he can qualify for this year's Mr. Olympia, throw him in the top 10. It's already getting very crowded though. And let's switch over to Good Vito. And before we get into this update, I did make a mistake. I said Krizo was top 6 in the world. He is currently top 7. But back to this update of Vito, we actually have no idea if this update is recent or not. If you guys want my opinion, I'm gonna assume that it's not, because I don't think we're gonna see Good Vito compete anytime soon. Now, that's just my personal opinion. I could be 100% wrong, and Vito could be 3.5 weeks out from the New York Pro. But Vito pretty much posted this with no context. So let's switch over to Tonio Burton, a guy that actually will be competing in this year's New York Pro. And on a recent podcast with Dennis James, Tonio Burton thinks he can be top 6 in the world at this year's Olympia. Tonio always has bold and very high predictions for himself. Going into this year's New York Pro is going to be a very good show between Nick, Martin Fitzwater, Tonio Burton, and we're even going to have Stuart Sutherland in the lineup. Let me know in the comment section below, 3.5 weeks out, how do you guys currently think the New York Pro is going to go? And in the next update of the day, we have a recent update from Michal Krizo, currently the 7th best bodybuilder in the world. And Krizo recently announced that he is 8 weeks out, so he should be in for the M-Pro Classic versus William Bonac and Beirut Tabani. And I know we still have 8 weeks to go, but I can go ahead and give you guys an early favorite. Gonna go with Michal Krizo, currently the 7th best bodybuilder in the world. Now, we haven't seen many updates from Krizo. My only concern is from the little updates we have seen, I'm not sure if I'm really seeing improvements in his physique. You guys can let me know in the comment section below if you agree or disagree with that. And in the next update of the day, we have a couple of guys that were added to the list of people that will be guest posing at the Pittsburgh Pro: Martin Fitzwater, Urs Kalasinski, and also Shaaban. So let's start with Martin Fitzwater. I was kind of wondering, why did they decide to add this guy as a guest poser? And I was thinking, well, maybe Nick Walker's going to be there. Maybe they're setting up a rivalry for the New York Pro. And as far as Urs Kalasinski, actually in the caption of this post, they said, rumor has it he's going to challenge Chris Bumstead to a pose down. So maybe they are trying to set up a little bit of a rivalry between guys and just get the fans going. But congrats to Shaaban for also getting into this. This guy is pretty nice, pretty sure there's no rivalry between him and anyone. So credit to Mo for getting to do this. This is definitely a great opportunity. Now let's switch over to Classic Physique. We have a recent update from Stephane Matala, who is looking absolutely peeled. Again, he is being coached by Patrick Tuor. No idea how much Stephane weighs or when he's actually going to hop on the stage, but I'll say this. Working with Patrick, I definitely think he will be better than the last time we seen him on a bodybuilding stage. But I do think it's worth mentioning that Patrick said that they're only 1/3 of the way through contest prep, so Stephane is only going to get more peeled and more impressive. But let's go ahead and wrap up today's video here with the archive of the day. You guys let me know in the comment section below, who is this legendary bodybuilder? And as always, I hope you guys did indeed enjoy this video. And if you have not done so already, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. But I'm Krishan from Go Fitness, and that's it. I'm out.